Hi there. My name is David Delgado, President and CEO at Freedom Choice Lending. Thank you so much for joining us today and watching this video. Today, we're going to be talking about a very hot topic. The difference between, what is the difference between getting pre-qualified versus pre-approved? And also the third one that no one really talks about, which is getting pre-approved by an underwriter, right? So essentially, there's three different types of pre-approvals that exist today. And why it really matters to you if you're thinking about buying a home, or even with the agents that you're going to be working with, and more importantly, the sellers that are going to be selling their home to you. Why these things matters to them. I think you want to stay tuned. And plus, if you like this, subscribe today. Post any feedback, comments right there on our YouTube channel. Just once again, I want to thank you for taking the time to watching this video. And I hope you're able to take something away from this. So if you plan on buying a home in the next 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, this video is for you. So let's take a look at pre-qualified, right? This is really just an estimate on what you might be able to afford. Nothing's verified. It's all self-reported. This is typically that, if you walk into a bank or do this thing right over the phone, this is something that can provide to you in just a few minutes, right? You tell them your income, you tell them how much money you make, your debts, and all that good stuff. And most of the time, they're not running a full copy of a credit report. They're just getting a limited report, if they even do that, right? Sometimes they verify some of these documents, but it's very limited in scope. Sometimes the documentation is never verified. So these are things that you definitely want to watch out for, because these are some traps that home buyers can fall into. Being involved in this industry for 2 decades now, helping thousands upon thousands, reviewing thousands upon thousands of loans, find a lot of times home buyers, when they start looking for a home, they get that pre-approval, like they think it's a pre-approval, it's a pre-qualification letter, or even worse, like it's not been reviewed at all, right? So they're running around town, including they give that to their agent, that real estate agent, and they could be even submitting offers, and then they get into escrow later, finding out that there's something that's being reported on their credit report, or something on their tax returns, or even on their bank statements, causes issues. I've seen that happen while they're in escrow. So I like to look at a pre-qualification is something that you might want to do early on in the process, no doubt, right? Early on in the conversations, setting just rough expectations and exploring the possibility of home ownership. Mainly because nothing's being really verified. There's no really good underwritten approval, and there's no guarantee that thing's going to even close, or a time frame that can get closed. I've had clients that make, really, really good money. And then, our underwriters like saying, hey, this is not going to work. Like, please tell the real estate agent not to show them houses, because even though they have great income, high FICO scores, there's some other thing that's getting reported that doesn't get them to qualify, right? There's a lot of things that go into getting people to qualify. But I think the pre-qualification is a great tool for home buyers as a starting point. It's just not a green light. Well, let's take a look at getting pre-approved and really the difference now, right? The major difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved. And remember, there's a third one out there that no one talks about. But the second one that we're going to talk about today is a pre-approval, okay? The pre-approval, typically what separates this type of pre-approval, that the lender, the licensed loan officer, was able to get a copy of that credit report. So they pulled credit and they reviewed it. What use does it make if you got a copy of a credit report and it's not even reviewed? That means you want to have a very competent real estate agent, loan officer, right? To review this credit report, just to make sure there's no surprises. Everything's getting reported accurately. And if they didn't do that with you in the past, that's a red flag. Like, I would not want to go buy a house if somebody didn't take the time to review my credit report with me, creditor by creditor, from top to bottom, right? Making sure there's no surprises in the credit report that can come up during underwriting. So that's really important. The income documentation is reviewed, not just by the loan officer, right? But a processor should have reviewed it as well. And the third pre-approval, the actual underwriter. That's the best type of pre-approval that you can walk around with, because that's essentially where we can actually close under 14 days and turn you into a cash buyer, like compete with the cash buyer in terms of terms, right? You can close under 14 days, 10 to 14 days. Your offer is just much stronger. And because it's stronger, it's going to beat out all the other pre-qualified buyers or even pre-approved buyers that have not been fully approved by an underwriter. Okay. We verify the income documentations. We order the verification of employment. That's another level. That's usually not done until you're actually in escrow. But what we do to get you that pre-approval that you can compete with cash buyers, that's where the underwriter reviewed the documentation. We actually get a copy of a verification of employment with your employer, again, because that is what's going to happen when you go under contract. So what we like to do is get that done ahead of time, so that way we can tell the seller of the property that your income's been reviewed by an underwriter, the assets, any money that you're going to be using for the down payment's been reviewed by an underwriter, the credit has been reviewed as well, and on top of that, we ran your pre-approval through an automated underwriting system. Okay, so that's pre-approval, but again, pre-approval by an underwriter is just another level. That's the third option. And we love to always work with the third option because we want to do the best possible job for our clients, right? So that means in order for us to do that, we got to have the best tools. And one of our tools is that pre-approval. Like I mentioned, there's 3 different options. I always say, hey, we'll work with any option that you want to work with. Pre-qualification, or if you just want to look at getting pre-approved, or if you want to go for the best one out there, pre-approved by an underwriter, we'll work with either one of those. But a lot of times, our buyers that we work with, our clients, they just get a better advantage, right, at buying the home that they really want to buy. So because it's your dreams to buy that home, it becomes our dreams. And when we have the right tools, which is that right pre-approval letter by the underwriter, it just allows you to have a stronger offer on the table. When that seller's reviewing those offers, they look at those offers. We talk to that seller. We explain them the advantages of going with you because you have that full pre-approval by an underwriter, how we went through the entire file. There's no surprises, including a verification of employment. You know, I've been doing this for 2 decades. There's not a bank that I know that's going to order a verification of employment without a purchase agreement, right? So a lot of times we do a lot of loans for people that are falling out of escrow. And sometimes we can't rescue every single loan because they waited too long to figure out what was wrong. See, sometimes the banks, they'll send out that verification of employment when they're in escrow. Okay, they don't do it before. So they send it out in escrow, and now you're at the mercy of the employer filling out that form correctly. And sometimes that employer, we're all humans. Look, mistakes can happen. And somehow a mistake happened on that verification of employment, whether it be accurate or not. Let's just say that the underwriter is not going to accept that verification of employment. And I believe this is one of the reasons of the benefits of doing business with someone like ourselves. We're a broker. So we can take a look at that verification of employment, making sure that the employer filled it out correctly. So that way it's good enough for the underwriter, right? So we're going to get a copy of that. And if we feel that it's not filled out correctly, we go back to the underwriter. We let them know, hey, you said X on this box over here. Is that the real case? And a lot of times it's not the real case because it just by error, they just fill something out. Just know that those errors can cost you that home, and more importantly, it can cost you deposit, right? So we're here to protect your deposit, and that's another big advantage of why we like to work with people that have our clients that have been pre-approved by an underwriter, right? This is going to give you the competitive advantage when you're making these offers. Your offer is looked at as good as cash. You can compete with cash buyers, buyers that don't have an offer like this. You're just going to get your offer accepted, right? So So it also gives a seller a lot of confidence. Think about that. If you're selling a house, which offer would you accept? The one that's been pre-qualified, pre-approved, or the one that's been pre-approved by an underwriter? That's a no-brainer, right? Of course, pre-approved by the underwriter, but that's what they're looking for. And main reason is because the seller doesn't want any surprises in mid escrow, right? They want to make sure that this is a smooth, on-time closing. And I'm sure you would want that too. You're a buyer. You don't want any hassles and worrying, things like that. And every time we rescue a loan, everyone's walking on pins and needles. And it's a stressful time because their deposit's at risk. There's no guarantee that you're going to get your money back. It may not be that easy is what I'm saying. Just because you may have contingencies on the contract, well, sometimes people just do, I guess, not probably the best decisions and not release your deposit so easily, right? So to make it a safe for all parties involved, I like to go with option 3. But again, the ultimate choice is yours. If you like what you like our conversation that we're having here, please subscribe today. Post any feedback on our YouTube channel on this video, and I'd love to see what you have to say, the good, the bad, the ugly. I would love to hear from you more. And if you like to get a free mortgage consultation where we're going to go over prices, monthly payments, go over the cash to close as well, all the various closing costs, so that way there's no surprises in the process, just feel free to reach us at the office. Phone number is 866-587-6927. And when you call, just let me know that you want to set up a time so we can go over those things. And on top of that, hey, if you don't want to talk to anyone over the phone, if you would just like to get a free copy of our Buyer's Ultimate Home Buyer's Guide, just text us at that number, 866-587-6927. And in this guide, there's 9 steps to buying a home. So once I realize people have an understanding of these 9 steps, they have more confidence. And when they have more confidence, they just tend to take more action. When they take more action, they buy the home of their dreams. And we want to get this out to your hands without any cost or any obligation. And you can just send a text to 866-587-6927. And we'll definitely get that out to you without any cost or any obligation. If you need to give us a call at the office, again, phone number is 866-587-6927. And for more information on the internet, on our website is freedomchoicelending.com. Thanks so much for watching. You have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.